All right. So what I thought I would do is basically go over what happens when I come up with a design. Sometime, well, actually, the original design for this car started out with me sketching it up and then basically cutting some materials up and getting in the game. So in the last 3-4 days or whatever, I have spent getting the rear fender perfect. And anytime I test a car and spend a lot of time on it, I always am fighting not coming up with a different design change or something like that. And you don't want to do that because then obviously anytime you change something, you got to mirror the image on the other side. So that's the caveat behind doing it. So I got everything trued up, all my lines and everything to go up and around the part. I got everything perfect. And so then one of the things that I ended up changing was I extended this body line all the way to the edge of the fender. It wasn't originally like that. It cuts off right here on the other side of the car. It just stands out. And it was a decision that I made actually years ago because I think I did extend it and then I cut it back after sanding. I'm like, all right, I like it to stop and then continue like the roundness. But then after working on it again, I'm like, let me go ahead and continue it. Now, one of the other nuances too that I have to pay attention to is this edge right here. This one, basically, it sticks out like a half inch or an inch right at this area, and on the other side, it tapers more into the body. Sometimes, I don't know, for those of you that maybe even seen a car out in the wild, if you come across a detail like that, it ain't because I didn't know about it. I'll leave stuff like that so I can walk around, look at it at different angles, and figure out what changes or what side do I like best, and then that's how I manipulate it. It ain't because I forgot I measured wrong or something like that. It's just small details that when you're up close and personal like that, you think, which would make it better? How does it flow? So that's how and why that is, and an example of what happens. And sometimes it can snowball into something bigger. So what is going on here? So in the beginning, my concern was I was like this traffic glitch right here. So I had this design. I had like a little bit of a hangover right here. And then this part that goes up and over, the fender is a little bit more exaggerated than what Porsches have. But I liked it on both sides. And thinking about a design, you're like, well, all right, how do you train the air to go a particular way around the car? And why is it doing that? Yada, yada, yada. Because I don't want to just have something aesthetically created. You want to have something that's functional too. Why is it there? Where this is the airflow for the brakes. So I certainly want things to be cool. Although I do know that because of how this is set up, it could create a lot of drag. Now, when you look at this overall, this is just basically a covering in front of the wheel. And so the air is diverted to the left away from the car, and then air is diverted inside to that brake caliper. And there's a 4-piston brake caliper there from StopTech, which I like that brake kit that I've put on the car here recently. Stops really, really even. I like it. In any case, it's about fabrication, but I want an air channeled over there too. And I also want to take a lot of this air and channel it over to cooling the engine. I think later I might have some condensers on here for the AC. Not sure if I'll put them here or not, how that's supposed to be plumbed, but that's another issue too. And then on the other side, I want to pull air from here to feed into the turbo. So that's another reason why I'm not concerned about how much air is going through here, but I also wanted to have it aesthetically even on the car as well. So this side, more so for brake cooling, and then channel some areas to flow to cool the engine. The valve covers are down there on the other side at the bottom, the headers and all that. So pushing air away. I hope to have a diffuser in the back so that way that air is channeled down there, and maybe that can be used for more downforce, things of that nature. So how do we fix this? So then I'm trying to create a channel to channel air up and over. So now these lines are about what it'll look like if I blew this area out. So right now the side skirt is all one piece and it goes all the way around under the fender. So now I'm thinking aesthetically and functionality, right? We don't want air coming here and then it hits a wall, then it goes up and then over. Like that's drag, that's aesthetically not pleasing. That's like, why would you do that? It has to flow, right? Keep it clean. So much like how it is at the top, air comes up over and it just transitions the end. You don't want some 405 traffic incident going on over here. So that has to be blown out. So the air, is almost seamless. It just goes even through there. So that means cutting into the side skirt, figuring out how you're going to block that off and still keep this hole open. Then how do you fabricate this piece? Is it separate piece that goes in here, which looks like it's going to be, or do you keep it still part of the whole fender, which I think would be a lot? Or do I just make this as one piece that can literally just be the side skirt? And then also this has to go. This is just, it's dirty. It's too much. So basically this is going to be the fender coming down and then meeting up to the side skirts. All this will be blown out. There's no more of this shit. So it's a tough decision because, I spent time fabricating that, getting it all nice and even on both sides. If I blow that out, because originally I was going to use this for a method of attachment to the fender by running studs behind it that basically go horizontal to the wheel and then a bolt on the other side. Everything is all nice and friendly. It's out of the way. Don't have to worry about any friction between the tire and that part. But now if I cut this off, I got to figure out, well, okay, how do I attach it now? So to give it stability. So a lot of that goes into play when it comes down to figuring out a new design. Then, as I mentioned to you, is about what materials do you use to create the part, and then you got to mirror the image and duplicate it on the other side. The other caveat too is that my car is in place. This is the only perspective that I have to work in. So since the motor is out, can't push the car out in order to figure out, well, okay, does that look good? Does it not? Can I walk around the car? I don't have that luxury either. So this is going to be about making a decision based on how I know my car. And is this going to look cool or not? So this has all happened within the last 2 hours. I haven't touched any fiberglass. I haven't touched anything. The other thing is that, I use these styrofoam core, $1 each, right? So they're cut and chopped and taped back up and whatever to get my angle. The other thing that I'm going to do here is recreate this with the roofing material. The roofing material is going to come into play because it's going to be rigid enough to keep this form. I also want to have a curvature right here. You can't see really kind of the bent lines. Yeah, you can right there. So those bent lines indicate a curvature, right? And that's how you got that curvature down here. But using a roofing material, it will be more uniformed. I can use the heat gun and I can get my perfect curve in there. So when I come back with my fiberglass, all I got to do is just lay it down in here and it'll have that perfect curve. So this is too rigid for that. I mean, although I take that back. I could do it, but it don't want to fight back. It will, and it might not be perfect for being on the other side. With the roofing material, I'm going to get a perfect curve in here and on the other side and blow it out through here. So I can have that actually as all one piece. And I'll do a video to show hopefully what that'll look like. But that is the goal right now. That is how things have come about. And we're going to get this shit really nice and fluid. Now, this will probably be like a week process, to be honest. I mean, just really being on it, having to recreate stuff on both sides. That's really kind of where I am with that. It's going to be some work. That's cut, chopping, and rebuilding all the time. But that's what happens when time goes by, you stare at stuff, you get kind of bored with a particular design or a decision you made a long time ago, and you got to keep it fresh. So now I'm literally about to recreate a whole nother side skirt just because of this whole debacle right here. Just because I didn't know how I wanted to end that line or that body part that is just hanging over the side skirt. That's how this came about. Unreal. But anyway, got to get to it.